We're reading today from Revelation chapter 3, beginning at verse 7. One of the messages to the seven churches. This is the seventh of them that we'll be looking at. And next week, we're going to wrap up our view of the book of Revelation with a view of the future and the promises that we have awaiting us that are really quite remarkable. The study of end-time events, there's a theological word for that study. It's called eschatology. If you ever hear that word or read it, it just is a word of theology that is defined as the study of end-time events. There's a fascination with the end times. It's in a variety of ways. It's not just even a spiritual pursuit. You'll find people that don't even have that as their motivation that get into spirit dimensions. There's movies that get into lots of crazy kind of ideas about the future and what things could happen and catastrophic events and all kinds of things. So there's a worldwide fascination with things that are unknown and that are yet to happen. One of the challenges for us is to make sure that we keep our moorings in what is the purpose of studying end-time events. What is the value of it, and what can we glean from it? And how much of it is for us to try to figure out specific things about the future, or rather to understand the principles that we're supposed to glean from what is predictive and how we're supposed to apply that into our life today. That really is our goal today and what we're studying in this message to the Church of Philadelphia. So let's take a look at it, and then we'll delve into what we can take away from the message Jesus has for this church. It has some parallels for us. To the angel of the church in Philadelphia write, "These are the words of him who is holy and true, who holds the key of David. What he opens, no one can shut, and what he shuts, no one can open. I know your deeds. See, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. I know that you have little strength, yet you have kept my word and have not denied my name. I will make those who are of the synagogue of Satan, who claim to be Jews though they are not, but are liars, I will make them come and fall down at your feet and acknowledge that I have loved you. Since you have kept my command to endure patiently, I will also keep you from the hour of trial that is going to come upon the whole world to test those who live on the earth. I am coming soon. Hold on to what you have so that no one will take your crown. Him who overcomes, I will make a pillar in the temple of my God. Never again will he leave it. I will write on him the name of my God and the name of the city of my God, the New Jerusalem, which is coming down out of heaven from my God. And I will also write on him my new name. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches." That statement is made by Jesus at the conclusion of each of the messages to these seven churches. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. That's been my prayer coming here today is, God, give us ears to hear what you want to say. I've prepared and have a track to run on here to apply principles that I believe God is wanting us to extract from these words of Jesus. But really, we need to hear God's voice personally and specifically, what does he say to you? And make collectively, we have open ears and the ability to discern what he wants us to know. I pray that we can come away from today encouraged and fortified and strengthened in our own personal life that we live out on this earth. So we see the message to the Church of Philadelphia. We have a modern city in America, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. That city is often referred to as the city of brotherly love, simply because that's what Philadelphia means. It's from the Greek word phileo. It is a word for love that is about the family kind of love, friendship. Philadelphia was noted for that. This town in that ancient day had a sense of community that was very special, that speaks well of them. I feel like where we live here in Sacramento, we have some of those attributes, a community that has a friendly factor. I've felt that ever since we moved here way back at near 1978. My parents moved here to this town, and all along through these many years, I have felt like this has a good hometown feeling. There's a camaraderie that goes with living here and how we work together. And I found that to be true of the churches in our city. We have built a friendship with other church leaders and pastors that's really quite profound. It's very unique for a gathering of churches that meet all over town today, but the leaders are very unified and root for each other and are asking for God's favor. Churches all over the community. It feels that way in the business community. We hope and pray for growth and progress. We have sports teams. I'm a sports fanatic. I enjoy, and so somehow that adds to the fabric of a community. With the AAA baseball team, we've had the best attendance in minor league baseball for those who attend those games over the course of the River Cats being in town. It says something positive about the fabric of our community. The Kings had some good seasons, sold out the arena game after game, had a string of not very good seasons, and the support has still been there. We can complain a lot, but there's still a hope. There's still a maybe next year kind of a feeling. Now we're getting a new arena, and there's some feeling of vitality in the community. We celebrate that. I think it's a wonderful thing. I love our community and the feeling that we have in it. I feel like we have some parallels to the town of Philadelphia. Even the name Sacramento has some spiritual roots to it. Sacrament, it's a spiritual word for the values of things that are of God. And so back when this town was established, there were leaders, spiritual leaders, who came to pray for a spiritual environment to be established in this town. And I feel like we have that. We have a strong church community throughout the region that we live. So we have some common ground with the Church of Philadelphia. Jesus identifies himself in his message to them. These things says he who is holy and who is true. Jesus, these are not just tendencies that he has. These are his essence. These are his personhood. This is who he is. He is holy and true. When you and I connect ourselves to Jesus, this now becomes true of us. We take on his nature. And though we know our depravity, I love the testimonies that we hear, those who are baptized. Thank you for sharing, those who came and shared your story, and the many who were baptized today, throughout the day, and last night. We had a number of people baptized. That story of where my life was not in the best of places, when Jesus comes and we let him in and we start connecting our heart to his, he changes us. Peace comes. A new way of living comes. Joy comes. We take on who he is. And he says, I am holy and true. I want that in my life. That sounds like something to be embraced. I want to embrace his holiness and truthfulness and have that now be true of me. I know I need it. He speaks of himself as the one who holds the key of David, who opens and no one shuts, who shuts and no one opens. He has opened doors that no one can shut. This speaks about our opportunity in the day. It was their opportunity in their day to invite people who hadn't yet come to faith to come through the doors. That actually is what he is meaning. And what we can take away from it for us today is he's saying to us, I've opened doors no one can shut. The doors of the church are open. I don't mean just our church doors of the building, but the church of God in the community. The doors are open to anyone who wants to come in and find faith in Jesus. They can. No one is excluded. The doors are wide open. We have a wonderful opportunity. We can take that parallel away and say, let's seize the moment. He says to them, you have a little strength. That can sound how you want to take it, positive or negative. You have a little strength might sound like, how come you have such little strength? Or the way I understand it in the study of it is it's very positive. You have a little strength. That says something of quality about the person. When I realize I have a little strength, it's also an acknowledgement that I could use more. And so it keeps my heart humble. And when I have a little strength, I'm going to depend on God to get more strength that He will provide for me. If He were to say of them, I see that you're so strong, it would be saying, I see that you're arrogant and puffed up and you don't need anybody. You think you don't need anything. You think you don't need anyone. To say that they had a little strength actually speaks well of their attitude. That they were aware that they had something they could use, something they could work on. He's also not saying you're totally decrepit and depraved and you've got nothing to work with. No, he's saying you've got a little strength. That's great. I've got some strength. And yet in the awareness of what I don't have, it causes me to connect my heart to His heart so I can get more of what I need. I have a little strength and I'm dependent on Him for all that He can supply. Here's 3 notable features about the church in Philadelphia. One is their evangelistic opportunity with those wide open doors. We have the same. The second is their reliance on God. You have a little strength, so because of that, you're getting the rest of it from me. And the third is you have faithfulness to Jesus. You have kept my word, he says of them, and have not denied my name. In the face of evil, in the face of a world around us that's quite difficult and strained and can strain us, they had kept the faith. They hadn't denied the name of Jesus. That said something really good about them. So there's a great open door of possibility for us to reach more people. I see that for us in the moments we're in. Why do we need to be aware that we might be in the end times? Because we have a great opportunity to share the love that God has for other people so they can come in and enjoy what we enjoy. We have an opportunity to do more because we've got some strength. We've got enough to use, but we use that strength to ask God for His help, and He meets us with His strength and empowers us, so we're humble and aware that, hey, we can't do this on our own, but we're going to do what we can as we depend on Him. And we're going to be faithful. We're not going to quit. We're not going to give up. We've been at this in our church in this town for 100 years. Started in 1916. This year in October, we're going to celebrate our 100-year anniversary. And what a great ride of 100 years of faithfulness through this church family and this community. But we're not done. We've been faithful. We've got more to do. I love that. So here's 4 takeaways for how we can take these truths and apply them into our journey while we're here right now. First of all, live as if Jesus were coming tomorrow. Prepare and plan as if He were coming 1,000 years from now. There is such a fascination with trying to pinpoint where we are on the timeline of the end of days. People have been trying ever since these things were written to figure out when is this going to happen? When are these end of days going to actually take place? When is Jesus coming back to take His church home? This is promised. It's prophesied in this book. When? So we study and we try to figure it out. In all the prophecies, people extract from the scriptures from cover to cover. And many of those prophecies have been fulfilled. And the ones that haven't, people try to predict when the next one will be. There's all kinds of numerology that gets applied, going back to when different events happen and piecing together the years that are predicted in the book of Daniel and how that ties into Revelation. So all these things, they've been studied a lot. I've been reading the writings of some of the theologians that have studied these things out. Here's one of the great challenges we face. It's been narrowed down to basically 4 different methods of interpreting the book of Revelation. And depending on the method one uses, they come to different outcomes. And there's well-meaning followers of Jesus, intelligent, well-studied, been through seminary, got degrees, studying the Greek language, the original language, trying to figure these things out, working hard at it. And you will get 20 different outcomes from, let's say you took 100 theologians and put them in one room. You might get 20 different outcomes where some of them will agree with each other, but they won't all agree with everyone. What do you do with that? That can be really confusing. Is it possible that God did not mean for us to know every detail? I think so. What he wants us to know is that he could come any day. So we should live like it could be today in our relationship to him. I want to be in tune with the Lord. What if I knew that he was coming today? What if I knew he was coming tomorrow? Like there was just absolutely no doubt and the whole world knew it. It would totally change what we would do that day, I'm sure of it. But that isn't what he's meaning for us. To live like he could come today isn't that we sell everything, or for that matter, buy everything because you don't have to pay the bill. Max out your credit cards today because somebody else is going to pay for it tomorrow because we're not going to be here. There's been some crazy things. I mean, that's been done. There have been groups of people I've read about that sold everything, went and lived up on a mountaintop because they wanted to be closer to where Jesus is coming to be the first to go. And they're just waiting, having their kumbaya moment, and it didn't happen. What do you do now? That's not the purpose of figuring out where we are in the end of days. We should live like he could come today, meaning that I love him and I want to keep my heart in tune with him, all the while planning like it could be 1,000 years. That makes sense to me because when this was written, it's been a couple thousand years ago. Everybody's been trying to figure out where they're at ever since. Every generation feels like it could be them. It will be someday someone. It could be us, but we don't know. It might not be. I've read predictions in my lifetime of minister and theologian after theologian that have pieced these things together and like predicted the rapture's going to happen before this particular date. Reputable people have come to these conclusions and been wrong. So what does that do to their reputation? It actually can do harm to God's work because it confuses people. Like, those people are crazy. I don't want to be crazy. I want to be aware of the fact that there's some things I don't know. Maybe there's some things I'm not supposed to know. Therefore, I want to live in my relationship to God like I love him. I don't want to live recklessly. I want to live in love with Jesus and receive his favor in my life. All the while, I got to go to work tomorrow. You need to go to work tomorrow. If you're supposed to show up, show up. Because you might have another 20 years on this planet. Nobody knows. Only God the Father knows. We don't know, you don't know, and whoever predicts it doesn't know either. They're just fakers. They want to know. We have a fascination with wanting to know. I would love to know so I could be the first to tell you. Wouldn't that be awesome? Don't you love it when somebody tells you something nobody else knows yet? You've got some news. And you can't wait to go start telling people because they haven't heard this yet, and you're going to tell them. It makes you feel important. I love that feeling. I feel important when I know something nobody else knows. And if they ever say, I'm going to tell you something I don't want you to tell anybody, it's like, oh, then don't tell me. I don't want that responsibility. I'm not that good. You tell me something, it's out there. Because I want that power. There's something quirky about us. There's something probably not that great about us that we want to know stuff. Who doesn't? So people in faith try to predict things and become the know-it-all and sell a book about it and go on the circuit telling about it, and it just has never happened yet. So who's the next one to try? Like, why? It's not the point. That's not what it's for. We're supposed to live personally in tune with Jesus, like he could come today, because he could come for me today. I've had a couple of brushes with that possibility. I've talked about it before, had these heart issues. My rhythm got out of whack. My doctor told me when I got diagnosed, I'd had a bunch of episodes that I got dizzy, fainted a couple of times. He told me, you're very fortunate to be here. Somebody's been looking out for you. Like, I believe that. I didn't know I was in that bad a shape. He said, any of those moments, you could have just expired. I didn't. And then they fixed my problem. And I'm well today by God's grace and by the grace of doctors' helps as well. I'm grateful for that. But any one of those, it could have been my day. When it talks about Jesus is coming, he's coming for everyone someday, but he's coming for everyone personally too, along the way. Everyone who's lived before us, he came for. They're not here anymore. We had an event yesterday. It was really wonderful. We had a Holy Land tour 10 years ago, and that group really bonded on that trip. And members of that group wanted to have a reunion. So yesterday we had a 10-year reunion of a Holy Land tour we took with my parents. And they asked me to pray just for the meal at the beginning. And as I just addressed those that were there, our friends, I had the thought my mom was there with me and my dad's not here and he was on that trip. And I said to them, I bet my dad wishes he was here right now. And then it struck me like, you know what? Probably not. I bet he's happy to be where he is and probably wishes we were with him where he's at. Like he wouldn't want to come back to this mess. He'd rather just call us all on up there. And I thought, his day, Jesus came for him. I had another accident where I fell and fractured my skull, and it was a weird experience, and the doctors were wondering how much trauma was caused internally, and I got through that with God's grace. It could have been another time for me. It wasn't my day. So I'm aware that it could happen, and it could happen any day. We should be just aware of that. So Jesus coming back, it's not just about the cataclysmic apocalypse when he comes back to set everything in right order. It's going to happen, but that's not the only way. You and I just need to be ready to be in right relationship with Jesus every day and then live our life like he may not come in our lifetime, and plan and prepare and do God's work and keep telling people about his love for them, for the doors are wide open. Here's the second takeaway. We do not need to know what he has not yet revealed. Our duty is our spiritual formation and the expansion of the kingdom, his eternal kingdom, not idle speculations and arguments. We do not need to know what he has not yet revealed. I would pray that would just be a warm and welcome concept that we could hold on to and not be so caught up with trying to figure things out that nobody's been able to up until now. Why do we think we're going to be the ones to figure it out when he said nobody knows the day or the hour? Matthew 24, he said, behold, I come quickly. And actually, I forgot exactly what he said. He said something. What did he say? Here's what he said. My memory failed me, but my notes are good. Matthew 24, verse 44, he said this, so you also must be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him. Jesus said this. So you must be ready. Again, that's the point. Be ready every day, because he's coming at a time you don't expect him. That says something predictive. That means nobody's going to figure it out. He's going to come when you don't expect it. He doesn't say, someday somebody's going to pinpoint the day and that's when I'm coming, so have fun. It would be weird if we knew the day. We would be so messed up with what we did between now and that day. He's so wise in giving us the ideas, in giving us the principles and giving us the concepts, but not giving us the details. We need to relax on the details. And we need to stop trying to figure out every jot and tittle that is not provided for us and find out. There have been people predicting who the Antichrist is. It was Kissinger at one time, because his letters, if you take numerology, spelled out 666. I remember those teachings. It's like, seriously? There's other people that are now supposedly going to be that guy, the Antichrist, and there's the mark of the beast, 666. Every once in a while that number comes up. I remember getting a bill one time. It was $666. I'm like, oh, shoot. Maybe I shouldn't have bought that. Can I put one item back? I don't want that number. And sometimes it just pops up. I found we have a tax ID number for the church, and in it are the numbers 666. I'm like, no! That's not right. We get weirded out by things that have a little trace of ideas, but we put too much into it. People trying to figure this out, figure that out. Come on. Let's do the main thing. Love Jesus. He loves us. Stay in tune with him. Be ready every day, because we're not going to know. We don't know. We won't know. Let's just walk it out wonderfully and beautifully as he intended. Work on our spiritual formation. Work on becoming more like he wants us to be. Here's the third takeaway. Jesus invites us to know him and make him known, to grow in him and to help others grow, to worship him and to help others worship him. It's all about relationship. He said to this church in Philadelphia, behold, I am coming quickly. And yet he hasn't come yet. Could it be that when he said, I come quickly, it was meaning when he comes, it's going to happen quickly? Behold, I come quickly. It's going to happen. Suddenly, it's going to happen amazingly, rapidly. It'll be in a moment. I come quickly. It doesn't mean next week. We don't have the right understanding of time like God does. We don't need to worry about that part of it. We just simply need to keep our hearts right. He says, he who overcomes, I'll make him a pillar. And we're going to be strong in the temple of God. He says, I will write on him the name of my God. I will write on him my new name. And here's the fourth and last takeaway. Jesus marks us to show who we belong to. It is a mark of intimacy. It shows we are privileged to know him in ways others do not. We have a relationship with him, and when we keep our faith in him, we're not shaken. We don't quit. We don't give up. We don't abandon ship when hard times come. And you and I know they do. You've been through your own. We don't know what's coming tomorrow. We don't know what challenges we face. We don't know what the enemy's got up his sleeve, but we do know that Jesus conquers the enemy, already has. And if we keep our faith in him, he says, I'm going to protect you from the trials that will come on the earth. I will keep you from trouble. I will put my name upon you. I'm going to write my name on you. What does that mean? I don't know that we need to try to figure that out either, but I don't have any tattoos yet. Sounds like I might get one. I'm going to write my name on you. Bring it on, Jesus. I'm ready for my tattoo. Of whatever the name is you want to write on me, I'll take it if you identify me. Just don't let it be 666. I'll be good. Jesus will mark us with his name, a new name, he says, of his. How beautiful will that be? His name is already amazing, and he's going to reveal something grander about his nature and who he is, and that I belong to him and you belong to him. This is what I get fascinated about eschatology, end time studies. This is what I get excited about, is the study of the future that's promised to me. We're going to end with that promise next week of what is awaiting us, because that's our motivation, is to hold on to him and the love he has for us and the promises that he has given us. And it's not up to us to figure out how many of these things are going to happen while we're here on the earth. we have a very minute view of the kingdom. The kingdom isn't this planet. The kingdom's eternal. We need to be about things that are bigger than this time and place and space in which we live right now. We get too myopic, we get too single focused, and we need to be bigger than that and broader in our thinking than that. It's more glorious than figuring out how to survive on this planet Earth. You can't get enough supplies to withstand the troubles that will come one day. And it's not about surviving on this earth. It's about keeping our heart connected to him. And he says, if you stay connected to me, I'll keep you from the troubles that are going to infect others that don't know me. I want to keep my heart right with Jesus. And I want to keep my position of faith in him, knowing he has promised to put his mark on me that says I belong to him. It's about intimacy. It's about love. It's about relationship, to receive holiness and truth, which is his embodiment. And he wants to place his nature and his spirit in us and upon us. And I love that about him. And I'm excited about the fact we might be living in the last days. And I'm really not worried about figuring out the events that are yet to come. Figuring out the dates and the times. Not my business. Why worry about things that he hasn't revealed? He's revealed enough for us to press into him and to know him and to walk with him intimately. Father God, we trust you today with your word and pray that you would, by your Spirit, help us to hear what we should, to walk with you and to be successful in this season in which we dwell on the earth. Teach us your ways, lead us to who you are, that we can have your grace, your power, and your love working in us and through us. We thank you for revealing enough to us to give us vision about what is yet to come, and keeping us rooted firmly in you, in your word, and in your love. Touch us today with your grace, we pray in Jesus' name. Before we finish our prayer, I would just ask if there anyone today that you would like the grace of God to touch you and wash you. It's just a step of faith to say, I believe in him. I want that relationship with the one who's holy and true. I want what he provides for me today. If you would like to receive that grace just by confessing the need of it, would you do that today? Just lift up your hand if that's something you feel like you'd like to do. God bless you for that. It's awesome. All right, why don't we stand together, and as our worship team leads us with a song, it's a moment for us to stay intimate with our God. Press into him, to his mercy, to his love. Our prayer partners, if you would come again and be here at the front. If you raise your hand, it'd be great if you wouldn't mind stepping out, finding somebody to pray with before you go. It just kind of seals the moment in a special way in your journey. And we invite you to do that if you would like. Let's worship him together and give him praise for who he is in our lives.